I think what's really exciting about this genre in particular is it's kind of the place where sex and power and class all kind of, they all reach a kind of point of crisis. And so the aristocracy and the Catton family felt like a really interesting way of looking at our relationship with the things that we want. This is always about sort of upending our expectations of the country house genre, and usually you'll have a grand sweeping drone shot of the house. Here we reveal it in this just quite static kind of block of intimidation with his little tiny wheelie bag, trying to work out how to navigate the gate.
I think you approach that house, no matter how many times you walk towards them gates, you're gonna feel the same thing. It's a dominant presence, and it's almost telling you to go away.
There's something so jarring about, the expectation of this enormous building and the formality of the butler and the footman and the scale of it and the sort of history of it.
Mr. Quick, follow me.
Coming into a place like this as well, I think for anyone really here, but even if this place wasn't this big, but just coming into a setting or a family like that, again, I'd feel like Oliver. He's not gonna fit in. This is a character within itself, this place, and there's many shades to it.
Wow, just wow.
When you get to set and you're in this house that's your house, and little Barry rocks up with his, his suitcase, and then Duncan comes in and is cruel, it's very easy to grab him and kind of find this flow in what you do. It's almost like Felix kind of orchestrates the house.
Ollie! Thank God you're here! Duncan, I'll show him to his room, don't worry. Oliver, try not to be too terrified of Duncan. Duncan, stop being so frightening in front of my friends.
Well, I'll try.
Come on, mate.
Felix.
Come on.
He's terrifying.
Oh, he's all right. He's just, The emphasis was kind of on the Lausch way that he owns the space, the kind of nonchalant way that he talks about these kind of pieces of art and artifacts that haven't been seen by the world. There's these incredibly rare books and ancient pianos and paintings, and he's kind of just going through them like they're nothing.
Green room, garden, some fucking hideous Rubens, broken piano, blue room.
And I think that's what the kind of emphasis was on. That's why the camera's kind of buried behind his back.
And
everything is so expensive and so lavish and so rich that it's worth nothing to Felix.
It's quite, intimidating, and this massive place dripping in stuff from the 1700s and that. If you kind of watch the scene, you see I'm not really fully focused on what's in the rooms. It's more about how Felix is moving in front of me.
this is the long gallery. Dead Relly, dead Rellies, Daddy's old Teddy, Shakespeare's folio.
We always wanted one long kind of steady cam shot to take us through the house to get that immediate sense of geography. In the end, we ended up cutting into it a little for Oliver's reaction, but I think it's got such a fantastic sense of space, and what it does is really does a huge amount of exposition for us in terms of getting to know the terrain.
And your room.
Wow.
Already from the beginning of the film, we kind of want the audience, I think, to wonder a little bit, is there something with this house? And the house is sort of a character by itself, and does it hide a lot of mysteries? And in a painterly way, what you wanted to refer to, it would fit best if the interiors felt kind of Baroque, like the Baroque painters. Dramatic sunlight coming through the windows, but lots of dark space, negative space around.
Usually we're looking at a house like this through a lens of a certain formality, and Emerald just didn't want that. Emerald wanted to show how people are living in these houses, and how there's mess, and detritus of family life.
Emerald is showing you this is the life of living in a stately home, and it's the outsider coming into this world who is the audience's guide through that. You see all of these people through his eyes.
Anything else I should know about?
No, just be yourself. They'll love you. It's relaxed, I promise. We'll be in the library.
Library?
Meeting the family is always a complicated thing because the introduction of characters on screen is one of the most important decisions you make, and especially when you're dealing with a lot of big stars being introduced for the first time because you're wanting to make sure that you're becoming familiar with people quickly, but you're also kind of giving them the kind of introduction that they deserve. We meet the family as he's kind of walking towards them, so we are aware that he's hearing what they're saying.
They probably don't have rehab in Liverpool.
No, gosh, no. No, I can't imagine they do.
No, so everybody just goes to ruin, I suppose.
Where is Liverpool?
I think it's on the sea, isn't it? Darling, where's Liverpool?
North.
North.
Yes.
The way that they talk about him is just so kind of voyeuristic and cruel.
And both his parents were dealing. God, and his mother's a drunk. I mean, babies can be really affected,
Oh,
traumatized.
they come out drunk.
When you're making any kind of film, both you, the audience, and you, the filmmakers, are at each other's mercy. And so it's quite fun to be able to sort of lean in on that tension when you're making something.
Go on, come and sit by me.
And that's filmmaking. At what stage do we, the filmmakers, decide to give the audience what they want? And at what stage do we decide to take it away?
I played with, I think, 2 or 3 different ways into it, and then what made us laugh most, what seemed to show the family off in their sort of delicious ghastliness. Some people find the family really lovable, and some people find them grotesque. I think they're grotesquely lovable. Like, that's what I love about them.
Is that right, that he had to put his fingers down his mother's throat to make her sick?
Farley, that's private stuff. Well, you told us. In confidence.
And then he catches the eye of Venetia Catton. We meet her for the first time where she's pretending to read a book. And so we had a lot of fun trying to choose the fake book she was going to read. I think in the end she's reading like a Spanish dictionary from like the 18th century.
Has Venetia seen you yet? Oh my God, she'll die. She's been draping herself all around the house all day, hoping you'll come across her.
As it were.
Do stop. The poor boy's only just arrived.
These are people I admire, and these are top quality actors, actresses, and they're fascinating at what they do, and it's kind of intimidating in a way, you know, that I wanted to kind of use. I wanted to use that in the scene. And I kind of stayed separate to them on that day as well, consciously. You know, I wanted to kind of go in and just be in front of them, see where it goes.
I was sat in there for 2 hours with Richard E. Grant, and we're just laughing, you know, eating sweeties and laughing. We're all in there just sort of talking shit and waiting for Barry to come, and then when he arrives, you know, we've all been in there for, you know, an hour setting the shot up and everything. So it really was this, like, who is this? You know, this is not in our family kind of thing.
And here he is. No, we were just talking about you.
Don't be silly.
Bam, you're in this wide, finally, of this crammed, kind of very eccentric family, which, despite all of this space, everyone's just kind of shoved in this room, and the juxtaposition of going through the king's bedroom and the blue room into this, books piled high, furniture on top of each other, it plays with the kind of weird extremities that you constantly find yourself in Saltburn.
Oh, what beautiful eyes. Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, I told you it wasn't a minger.
Oh, but darling, you're kind about everyone. You can't be trusted. Oliver, I have a complete and utter horror of ugliness. Ever since I was very young. I don't know why.
Because you're a terrible person.
When Ollie arrives, her guardrails go up immediately that, you know, this could be a threat to her existence.
Pamela, darling, will you go and find Annie and ask about tea?
What I love so much about this scene as well is you just see how quickly an acolyte gets dumped. So the moment that Oliver comes in, poor dear Pamela is sent off to get tea, and she knows immediately what that means. What that means is,
Off you pop.
Okay.
there's some new prey in town.
They read people on a social level. They see if you belong, if you do not belong, who's boring, who's okay, who needs to go, who's overstayed their welcome. It's all social codes. And Oliver understands psychological codes. And that is what makes the film very, very interesting.
That's the thing about this family and making this world is we all need to kind of get why you would do almost anything to stay there.
Nothing shocks me, Oliver. Absolutely nothing. Tell me everything.